Please tell us what it means to you to receive the Volwiler Award from AACP.
Well, I've been in academic pharmacy for nearly 35 years. During this time, I've received many generous awards, such as being a distinguished alumni or distinguished professor. But really nothing has been as gratifying as receiving the Volwiler Award from the AACP, and I think nothing ever will be.
If you had to name the top 2 or 3 ingredients or factors in your success in research, what would they be?
In my opinion, really the main ingredient is perseverance. 80-hour work weeks are common. Everyone I know, including Nobel Prize winners and members of the National Academy of Sciences, have experienced difficulty in obtaining funding. So really the key is perseverance. And of course it doesn't hurt to have some ingenious ideas too.
Mentoring is often cited as critical to the success of effective individuals. Who has served as your mentor or mentors, and how did they inspire you to become a mentor yourself?
Well, in my career, really many people I consider as really important mentors who have transformed my life. But I'll mention just a few. My dissertation advisor was C.H. Jiang at Rutgers University, and actually I was his first graduate student. When I entered his lab, I thought that refrigerators were for chilling beer, not for chilling chemicals. And I thought that rats were something to either avoid or kill, not to use as human disease models. So he taught me a lot, and he was very generous with his time. Another thing that CS did was basically create a collaboration with Michael Lee, and Michael Lee was again a very good mentor of mine. Ultimately, he served as a dissertation co-advisor. And Mike not just taught me a lot about science, but he also taught me a lot about life. When I finished my experience with CS and with Mike, I was really ready for a postdoctoral experience at MIT. And I went to MIT working with Sidney Hecht. Sid really taught me many things. He taught me the meaning of hard work. He taught me the commitment that's required when striving for excellence. Sid himself is brilliant. He's really the quintessential scientist. So my experience at MIT was really perfectly timed and elevated my thinking to the next level. And the last person I'll mention is Norman Farnsworth. Norman recruited me as assistant professor at the University of Illinois at Chicago. And Norm really understood the critical importance of teamwork and collaborative research. And this has always stayed with me. Norman was really a good friend, a colleague, and a mentor, and I will always miss Norman greatly.
Many award winners often speak of the role that family members play in their success. Could you speak to this for your own career and talk a bit about how to balance work and home life?
Well, honestly, I may not be the best person to address that question. Somehow or another, balance and 80-hour work weeks are incongruent. But I've been lucky in my life. I fell in love with my wife, Mimi, about 30 years ago, and we've had a really good family life all of this time. In addition, she is a pharmacist, and she's helped me stay grounded really in the practice of pharmacy. But beyond all of that, I found that university professors often find themselves in very fascinating places throughout the world, giving lectures or serving as a consultant. And I have found that if you can bring the family along and basically make a little vacation out of these trips, that really helps a lot.
You have worked in several distinctly different academic environments during your career, each with their own culture. How does culture contribute to the success and productivity of a scientist?
Well, culture and scientific and professional excellence is obviously very essential, absolutely essential. And it really requires staying on top of your game, which may not be the easiest path in life, but certainly it's the most invigorating. The main reason I moved to Hawaii as founding dean was really to create such an atmosphere. I suppose only history will prove if that turns out to be true, but I can tell you that the College of Pharmacy at the University of Hawaii really is poised for greatness.
Federal funding for biomedical science has suffered substantially over the past decade. What advice do you give your younger scientists and perhaps your experienced researchers regarding how they can build and sustain strong research endeavors?
Well, that's the million-dollar question. I think that acquiring federal funding obviously is a challenge, but to be honest, over my 35 years or so in academia, it really has never been easy. During the first couple of years I was at UIC, I submitted probably about 50 grant applications. So as I mentioned before, perseverance really is critical. But beyond that, I would recommend that people consider their particular environment, consider grants that are tailored to individuals or institutions. At least in that way, the magnitude of the competition is diminished. And also throughout my career, as I mentioned before, collaborative research has been a key. We've been able to create synergistic relationships through collaboration, and really no one has really been able to match that. And that again provides a competitive edge.
What has been your most important source of motivation for your research, your administrative responsibilities?
Well, the most important source of motivation really is difficult to pinpoint. But what I think is that really it comes from within. So looking back, I may have had a misspent youth, but I've strived for excellence every day of my life since I was about 18. So in my view, you can shoot for a star. Maybe you'll end up in the moon, but at least that's better than Hoboken. So in terms of administration, I can assure you that I did not become a university administrator as part of a master career plan. There's a certain point in my life when I realized that opportunity existed to be in university administration and that I was in a position to provide service really for the greater good. I think it's important for university administrators to create a vision and an environment where the faculty and the staff and the students have really a sense of pride and the ability to live their dreams. So in retrospect, I've really adopted the philosophy of Nelson Mandela, which is lead from behind. So basically, let others take the credit for their hard work and their accomplishments, but when things get tough, or when things need to be corrected, then it's time to get out in front and pave the way. If I'm remembered for anything as a university administrator, I hope it is this.